welcome to Lift Off. My name is Stephanie Newton. I'm here with my pastor, author, speaker, and conference leader, Brother Jacky Connell.
Steph, how exciting it is to be able to be a part of another Lift Off taping. I've been, I think I referred to it the last time that we met together. You know, you and I get the privilege of being able to hang around, talk about this stuff, and then I get to go back and watch it and listen to it. And I was listening to the series that we're doing. I was thinking, man, I need to take my own advice. It's really some good stuff. And so it's, all jokes aside, I listen to them and I go back and I think, man, that was a good nugget. And I pick up that, and it kind of causes me to dig in a little deeper and think a little broader in my leadership. And I just want to say to all of you, those of you that are watching and listening, that this is a tool. That's all it is. Now, we don't have it all figured out, but I hope and pray that when you connect with Liftoff, that you can find a nugget here and a nugget there that will help your leadership and strengthen you. And what I like to say is give you a little more leadership muscle so that you can join with us as we continue to promote positive leadership in the church world and in the business world. And I'm excited about being here with you today.
Well, today we're wrapping up our series on hiring. Now, we've had 2 sessions already, and if you missed them, go back on jcimpact.org or our YouTube channel and check them out. But we've talked about 2 different parts of hiring. One was knowing when to hire. And so we looked at those growth indicators that it's time to step out on faith and see what God has for us, either in our ministry or in our business.
Sure.
Then we kind of looked at the who. Who are the people we need to hire? What are the signs so we know that we're making a good choice in a person? We talked about a list of 7 C's that if you didn't catch, you need to go back and get those 7 C's. It will change the way that you hire and enlist people to be on your team. So 7 C's that were amazing. Today, I'm sad that we're at the end of this series, but I'm really excited about what's coming up next month, so stay tuned for that. But today we're going to talk about where to hire. And so, Pastor, knowing where to hire, either from within the organization or outside, that even sounds a little bit scary to me. Looking for that right person, that right fit. Are they right in front of us? Are they out somewhere? And so let's start kind of in generalities. Pastor, what is the general rule of thumb about hiring within versus hiring from without?
Well, you know, Steph, being cutting my teeth in the business world and also being in the church world, I've had the privilege and the opportunity to be able to do a lot of hiring in a lot of different venues, from design, engineering, manufacturing, to how do you find somebody to do children's church, or, you know, it just goes from A to Z. So I feel like that I have something to say to that, not because I've always hit a home run, but because I've learned a lot of things along the journey, and hopefully in this season of life, I'll have the opportunity to speak into that with a lot of people. So I think the general rule of thumb that you follow is, again, before I give you some of the peculiars of the ABC thing, I think that we have to go back and really ask the question, what are we trying to achieve in this? And I think we have to define that. You know, you really need to give some concrete definition to your vision, your plan. What are you trying to achieve? And then asking yourself, is anybody around me already getting it done, what I'm trying to achieve? And then does anybody have what it takes to get it done? So when I think about those things, once I have come to the place that I'm trying to put together another piece of the puzzle, and I really like that analogy. It's a piece of the puzzle. You're trying to fit all the pieces together. So looking at a rule of thumb, after you define what you're trying to achieve, I like it like this, and that is, look for current leaders around you. That is leaders to promote. Now, let me make sure I give you some clarity on that. When I say look for current leaders that you can promote, you may already have somebody on your team in another area that when you look at what you're trying to achieve, it's a shift rather than a hire, if that makes sense to you. I think a lot of times we get locked into the hire mindset, and there's nothing wrong with that, but a rule of thumb that I always use is let's look at a shift before we look at a hire. And it take a minute to kind of look at the landscape of your business or your organization to ask yourself, can you shift some things? And this is going to sound a little bit counter to what we're talking about here, but if you do what I'm about to tell you, you may save yourself a lot of problems. Before you hire, look for the shift, and you may not have to hire. There may be some shifting that needs to be done in that. So a rule of thumb, first of all, is look for someone that you can promote or shift in your organization before you do the hire. Now let's think about a rule of thumb on the hiring aspect of it. And this is what I do in looking at that. First of all, look inside. Look inside your organization. When you're about to hire, look inside there, and if you do a shift, maybe you need to hire somebody from where you shifted the person, and that may all work better for you. So before you on the process of hiring, look inside, and then when I say inside, I'm talking about your inner circle. Maybe there's somebody that's just very obvious inside. And then look around you. When I talk about look around you, I'm talking about looking around your facility or your contacts, people that are in your neck of the woods that you look around. And I would not limit that to just people in my inner circle or even inside your organization. Maybe there's somebody that delivers to your company. You're going, oh, what about Bob? What about Sue? Look around you and take that in consideration. So look inside, look around, and then look outside. If you can't do that shift, and you don't find that person inside, and you don't find that person around, then you want to look outside. And that's kind of the rule of thumb that I go by. Once you determine what you want to achieve, ask yourself, is it smarter to make a shift in your organization and maybe even promotion before your hire? And even if you make the shift and you're going to hire, look inside, look around, look around your world, your landscape, see who you know, and then if that doesn't work, then look outside. And that's kind of the rule of thumb that I look at after we go through the 7 C's.
I think that shift is so important to consider. That
Absolutely.
Can save you a lot of heartache and a lot of financial. If you look and you kind of think about who's here, what has changed on our staff or in our business, that this shift could happen here, or hey, this person has really developed in this area, they've raised their leadership lid, and we can shift some of this here. And so I love the idea of this shift, and I think that's actually one of the best parts of hiring is being able to shift smartly.
Yeah, and just kind of elaborating based off what you just said there, the shift is again, a rule of thumb in good leadership management, thinking about that. And I think you hit on some key notes there. A lot of times when we're thinking about a hire, we're thinking about what's going on maybe in a particular place, but it may be wise for you to look at how even your business landscape has changed among your staff to say maybe we need to redefine 2 or 3 different things, and as you redefine those 2 or 3 different things, you may be able to make a real positive shift without the hire, which again, what you said is very true. You'll save yourself some money and you're rewarding people within the organization. And so that's very important. Rule of thumb, look at your shift, look inside, look around, look outside.
So if you've looked around, you've done your homework, and there's no shifting to be done, we're going to have to hire. We've done our job description. We've looked at our 7 C's. We've kind of thought about some different things that way. Let's talk about hiring from within the organization, whether we're talking about a church or a business. What are some special considerations for hiring from within? What are some things we need to think about?
Well, I think that hiring from within is a very good thing in your organization. And you have to realize hiring from within can mean looking at your own current landscape, or I always look at hiring from within with a little bit of a dot connected. There may be somebody within that knows somebody. And so even when you have to be very aware that hiring from within doesn't necessarily mean already those people that are on your payroll. It might be their brother or cousin, their uncle, their aunt, whatever. And that's still part of your within group. So I think that to answer the question, I would look at first of all, this is going to sound really down the gun barrel of me being a business leader and a pastor, and I would say pray hard, pray about your decision. That's vitally important as you're about to make that decision. But I want to talk to you, Steph, in 2 columns of this hiring from within thought. I want to talk to you about the positive considerations. First of all, it rewards lay people or people in your organization with an opportunity for advancement. So that's a positive consideration, when you're looking at from within, that you're able to take somebody and empower them and resource them to another level of leadership advancement. So I think that's an incredible positive thing just because it is, and it creates a positive momentum on your morale. It gives people an opportunity to see, I don't have to go somewhere else to get an opportunity. I have it here. So I think that's a real positive consideration. And the other positive consideration from moving or hiring from within is that you're already, the people that you're looking at are already exposed to your culture. Yes. And you don't have to do a lot of cultural education with those people as you hire from within. It takes a long time to bring somebody in to learn your corporate lingo or your church lingo. So if you've already got people that are already exposed to your current culture, that's a positive thing. And so I think that it's a very positive thing on the inside to create a boost of morale. It creates a sense of opportunity for personal advancement, and also it eliminates a lot of hours with either your HR person or whoever it may be to kind of indoctrinate people on this is how we do it here. So if you already got people within that understand that culture, then that's going to help you from within. So when you look at the positive considerations, there are many of them, but those are just a few that I would look at. What do you think about the positive side of it?
I think the one about culture is absolutely spot on. It takes time to indoctrinate people with culture, whether that's your business culture or your church culture. It takes time for them to figure out the terminology and for it to sink to a place in their core that it's how they talk, how they walk, what they do. A lot of times in our church, we will refer to it as being in unispeak and unistep with our pastor. We want to catch the vision that he's setting for us, and we want to walk in that unistep and unispeak. it's doable for someone outside, but it takes time.
It does.
When you got someone that's already been branded with that, then they know when they walk in the door on day one of the job.
Absolutely.
This is what it is. This is how it goes. This is the bar set before you. It is excellence, because excellence honors God and inspires people.
We've heard that.
However you have branded, whatever your culture is, if they already know it, you're already
Right.
2 steps ahead.
Absolutely, and you know, Steph, I do a lot of with church work, and also I still do a lot of business work as well with companies, and we all know realistically that every church, every company has its own culture, whether it's good or bad, whether it's, you know, whatever it may be, it has its own culture. So I think the positive considerations of it is exactly what I mentioned. Now, I'm not so oblivious to forget that there can be a negative side of it as well when you're talking about hiring from within or moving from within. And I would say this to you, get your pencil and a paper, and remember Brother Jacky told you this. And that is, if you adjust from within, let's just say that you promote from within or whatever it is, there is a lot of collateral damage if it goes wrong. Meaning that people, especially in a business that maybe there's a lot of relatives that work there, or a church, oh my goodness, just think about that. If you hire from within and you position people in leadership, you know, nobody's guaranteed, oh, this is going to be the grand slam move. And just historically in the past, you know, I've made decisions to bring people from within an organization to promote them or adjust them or shift them, and even bring people that, for our example, in the church that's been coming here, and man, they're really engaging and doing well, and you have a staff position that comes open, and you go, okay, we're gonna bring this person on, and you don't have a guarantee always that it's always going to be right. Well, if it's not right, and that's why we're trying to tell you to do all this work ahead of time, but if it just doesn't work out, there will be collateral damage of how do you work through all that. And so I think the negative side of it, that is really the only realistic negative that I see from moving from within, is that if it just goes south, it goes wrong, there are a lot of pieces that's moving in it, and there can be a lot of collateral damage as a result of that.
I think sometimes too, when you promote from within like that, sometimes that new employee will come in with the vibe of that they're still a customer to the business rather than on the other side of the counter. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's always an obstacle to overcome too. Is, you know, it's no longer catered for the customer anymore, but you are catering to the customer.
Absolutely.
So sometimes I think there's a transition there with respect and work ethic and stuff
Sure.
of that nature as well.
Yeah, it goes from being served to serving.
Yes.
It's a whole different mindset, and you know, you need to talk through all that and give that some serious consideration. So, you know, you look at it, you look at a person, you go, wow, on the wow of the person, then you look at, oh my gosh, who are they connected with? And if it does go wrong, how's that going to affect this picture? Not just this, but this. And so that's important. Now, I'm an advocate of a promotion from within, hiring from within, but at the same time, you've got to be wise enough to realize sometimes it just doesn't work out. Not that anybody's wrong or any person's bad, but sometimes things just don't work, and you have to be man enough or woman enough to deal with it on the realistic level of where you are, and pick up the pieces and move on. But it can create a lot of damage if you don't know how to. I guess the thing I would say is go ahead and prepare yourself with some damage control as you look at that.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, let's look at the other side of the coin. What are some signs that we need to look outside the organization to hire? And is that a viable alternative? Is that a good deal?
well, I definitely think it's a good deal. And if you look at, and I think you said it right, you come to the place where you realize, oh, we do need to look outside. I think that some of the viable, legitimate pieces that would allow you to do that is some things I'll talk to you about now. First of all, new development. Maybe you've got a new product development. Maybe you've got a new ministry development that you're trying to incorporate into your business or into your church. And you look at that and you go, man, this is brand new and we really need some expertise on this. Well, you know, if it is a brand new development, then you probably will have to go find somebody that brings something to the table, that's already got some experience in that. And as you look at that, I think that is a viable leverage on going without an organization to do that. So you look at your new product development or your new ministry development, and you already know, you know what, we need to look outside. The other thing that I would say is that as you look at your vision and whatever you're trying to do, you have to look at the competency level of leadership. You really have to say, does the people here now have what it takes to get us there? And that's something that you have to examine as a first chair leader of going, I've got to get from point A to point B, and I have to look at the competency level of leadership that I have. So I think that's a part of the viable decision making of going outside. And capacity, you know, there may be a lot of people around you that certainly have a lot of energy and maybe they're buzzing with it, but if they just don't have the capacity to enlarge themselves, now competency of that, I'm not talking about the two being the same. Some people have the competency, but they don't have the capacity to do it, meaning they're not willing to invest the time, the energy, the extra effort that it takes. So you have to look at all that. And so I think those things. But I also think that in looking from without the organization, the business, the church, whatever, you really want to look at it from not only those two or three things that I just mentioned, but also your new culture exposure. Meaning that if you're trying to add someone on your team that's going to help you with a new product development or a new ministry development, and they're from outside, they're going to expose you to another culture out there. They're going to have contacts that you have not established, or your company's not established, or your church is not established. So I think that as you look at what you're trying to achieve, and you go, man, we need to build some connections to other places or other people, and we need that person to come on and give us some of that connectiveness, then I think that's a good thing. So new culture exposure. And then the last one is, which I like as well, bringing some freshness in. You know, we have to be honest with ourselves. We all get, whether we like to say it or not, or whether we agree with it or not, we all kind of get in this box and we think this way, and this is how we do what we do. And you can call it a box, you can call it a rut, you can call it whatever you want to call it. But I think sometimes when you look outside, you bring the new person in, they may challenge you a little bit with that. They may bring in some fresh ideas, some new insight that you haven't looked at or haven't thought about. And so I think that there's some benefit to doing all those things.
I think when you make the right choice in hiring, it can refresh
Sure.
your whole organization. If you make a poor choice in hiring, it can crash your organization. So very important stuff that we've covered in these 3 sessions. So please take a minute, look back through the first 2 sessions on knowing when to hire and who to hire, and now where to hire. It's been a great series, Pastor. Thank you for all the wisdom that you shared with our listeners and viewers today.
Well, thank you. And it's an honor to be able to do this. Again, I'm not the guy that's always hit the home run. So we're learning together. We're growing together. I hope some of the things that we share together will give you some little nuggets to build up your leadership muscles. And we thank you for tuning in to Lift Off. Tell everybody you know about it, and also connect back with us. We'd love to hear some of the.
Well, speaking of nuggets, we'd love for you to join us on jcimpact.org to connect with more resources, or our YouTube channel. Also, if you'd like to connect with one of our JC Impact Leadership Summits, we'd love to give you more information on that. Check us out at www.jcimpact.org. So thanks for watching, and thanks for sharing with us on your social media platform.
See you next time.